Maturity. When you think of growing up, how does that make you feel? What thoughts, plans, or emotions are the most visceral when talking about maturity? Imagine a world where you were told that Herculean tasks depend on the individual's sense of accountability. Imagine someone you idolized, someone who wanted nothing but the best for you, wasn't a biological parent, and was taken from you at such a pivotal time in your human development. Imagine being so distraught by the loss of this person that the only thing that's solidified in your memory are but a few wise words.
With great power, there must also come great responsibility.
It's honestly an established fact at this point that Spider-Man has been one of the most generationally immortal and impactful characters of all time. However, as with most popular IPs, the means as to why they became so popular in the first place is often forgotten amongst the glitz and glamour. The thing most people don't understand about Spider-Man is that there are unhealthy ramifications of having adult obligations at such a young age. I believe the core of what makes Spider-Man so compelling as a character is his naivete. His entire upbringing prevents him from being taught valuable life lessons through orthodox means. His lack of parental figures causes him to extract life lessons from the very villains he brawls with. His rogues are allegories that teach him about humility, patience, and sacrifice. Unfortunately, though, for our hero, he never seems to cease being the poster child for learning the hard way. Peter's journey into adulthood is so profound because I interpret his specific superhero story as an allegory, one about a boy becoming a man. In fact, I think it's one of the best messages a hero can tell his followers. Seeing that one is bestowed a great power, their journey of using it responsibly will end up defining the person they will eventually become. The spectacular Spider-Man TV series illustrates the rudimental theme of maturity in the Spider-Man mythos, most accurately in my opinion. Written and created by Greg Wiseman, a former English teacher, he understood exactly what worked with Spider-Man and turned it into a serialized 26-episode tale of Peter Parker's Spider-Man experience.
The notion that the theme of the show would be the education of Peter Parker, that was in there right from the beginning.
The beauty of having a young Peter is that he, more or less, will always be learning something new.
It's my car, dumbass! Hey!
Because he is not only growing as a hero, but he's also growing as a man. Ironically, the villains he fights are actually just adults using their abilities irresponsibly, not unlike Peter himself at the commencement of the show. These dichotomies I'm going to explore between Spider-Man and his rogues gallery contribute to Peter's education of what it means to be a mature adult through lessons of humility, patience, and sacrifice. The episodes Survival of the Fittest, Interactions, and Natural Selection commence with an introduction to Peter, in which he is just about to start his junior year of high school. During summer, he has had some experience as Spider-Man, but not much. Peter's first conflict is immediately clear from the get-go in episode 1 of Survival of the Fittest.
Tell me there's something better. Go ahead, try.
The show initiates by introducing us to Peter, being seen happily swinging across New York on the last night of summer. New York is still a playground to him, but not yet a workplace. At this point in Peter's Spider-Man career, he hasn't yet dealt with serious threats to himself or the city. He wants there to be action. Why wouldn't he?
Only one thing missing. It's my last night before school starts, and I could really use some action.
At this point, Peter hasn't yet realized the pros and cons of being Spider-Man and the impact he has on New York's inhabitants. That being said, this is the beginning of Peter's first arc in the show, his first taste of adulthood. The first day of school presents Peter's first serious conflict since Uncle Ben's death. He wakes up on the first day of school and tells himself,
I've never been so pumped for the first day of school, because today, everything changes.
However, as soon as he walks downstairs, he overhears a conversation his Aunt May has with her friend about financial trouble. She doesn't want to burden Peter with it, but Peter makes a note of this, not knowing how it will affect his goals later in the coming episodes. we now see that Peter's mindset slightly switches into disappointment. Ironically enough, Peter's right. Things will change for him. However, he doesn't know the obstacles that will lie in front of him later. Peter believes his status at school will change because Spider-Man has given him a newfound confidence over the summer. With his new supercharged swagger, surely he can rizz up a cheerleader.
Why in the world do you think I'd ever go out with Midtown High's champion geek?
Judy Parker's hitting on your girl.
Yeah, so Peter is quickly reminded that his appearance and status has not changed, at least to his peers. To put it simply, bro got an ego check. Which brings me to the Vulture.
Nothing to... Osborn, you stole my work!
Spider-Man and Vulture both shared the same conflict in episode 1. They were both humiliated when they put themselves out there, displaying their confidence in themselves, just to be shunned for thinking they can change. Both Peter and Adrian have egos that were checked by their antagonizing peers. But the difference between the two of them is that Adrian, the Vulture, reacted by seeking vengeance on his tormentors, while Peter actively brushed off his naysayers and stuck to his guns, not letting his tormentors get the best of him.
Oh, today's been one-stop shopping for disappointment. No money at home, no cool at school. I nearly pavement splat fighting a wacko with wings. And now Daily Bugle security won't even let me use the elevator. But May and Ben Parker didn't raise no quitters. Any quitters. You get the idea.
This doesn't mean Peter isn't upset by his unfortunate luck, but the fact that his purpose reminds him to keep pushing forward is enough for Peter to maintain his focus and do the right thing.
Only one thing I know for sure. I can't let Harry lose his dad the way I lost Uncle Ben.
School, money for bills, and Aunt May's curfew has given Peter a lot of stressors on top of being Spider-Man.
In nature, everything's connected. As scientists, we explore and expand upon those connections. Maybe as people, we should do the same.
The next episode shows an interesting dichotomy between Spider-Man and Electro, involving the burden of power, the changes the power brings to their lives, as well as how they adapt to it. When dealing with power that seems larger than life itself, patience is often necessary in order to utilize it effectively. Power, especially in this episode, is an allegory for chaos in our lives. This chaos, this change can be anything. A divorce, a new school, a new job, living independently. But in more severe cases, certain changes can affect your entire life. Let's take a look at Max Dillon, soon to be Electro. He seems to be a nice, normal guy at the start. However, soon after his accident, he makes it very apparent that he is angry and lost with the power he gained in the lab accident. Max is as horrified as he is furious as he looks at his situation as a curse. Max is then showed as being unable to cope with his accident and the abilities he is now burdened with.
You know I had plans before this happened. Go back to college, meet someone, have a life?
Dude, chill. You have to give yourself time to adjust.
Adjust to what? This? I'm out of here!
It's from then on that we pity Max because of his reaction to the chaos caused by his accident. Having your own life be completely out of your realm of control would be honestly infuriating.
Max, stop! We just want to help you.
You can't help me, but I know who can.
Peter himself sympathizes with Max because he understands the confusion of having strange, life-altering abilities.
Max's life is trashed, and not only don't I recognize him, I attack him. Not sure if I could have helped, but at least I could have tried.
Peter also struggles to adjust in his own way. His aunt's curfew parameters, set for him last episode, conflict with his nightly patrols as Spider-Man.
Perfect. Oh man, where does the time go?
Peter, you're taking advantage of our arrangement. Calling in late every night is not acceptable.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Static. I'll be home soon. Bye.
He's always calling her right before the curfew, disappointing his aunt repeatedly while he is attempting to help Max with his own adjustment. He doesn't understand that it takes time to explore a cure for his current condition. Max simply did not have the capacity to wait, largely due to the fact that he was scared. He didn't know how to live in the current state he was in. This is where the differences lie between these two characters. Peter tries to make the most out of his situations, while Max accepts defeat when the results to his problems aren't immediately available to him. In life, we have a choice to let our hardships bog us down, or we can channel those hardships into something more productive. Peter and Max could have easily been each a hero or a villain, but the difference is that sometimes we need tact and patience in order to see our problems through.
No big. I reached out. She knocked my hand away. You can't control everything. Trick is to never stop trying. I never asked to be Spider-Man. I never asked for these powers. I never knew it would mean a bashed-up hand, a hard 9 p.m. curfew, no job, and friends who all think I'm scum.
The last episode, Natural Selection, is the final episode in the show's first arc, where all of Peter's current obligations as a nephew, student, and superhero contradict. Peter has become overwhelmed by the pressure, with all 3 lives butting heads in this arc's climax. The result is Peter re-evaluating the validity of Spider-Man. There are moments in our lives where everything seems impossible to accomplish due to our obligations perpetuating stress. When these things happen to us, though, it's important to know our purpose for doing the things we do, as well as evaluate why we have those obligations in the first place. I truly believe there is no villain in this episode, only conflict arised by 2 men's ambition. Both Peter and Dr. Connors have clear ethical goals they dedicate their lives to, yet both men also had to sacrifice aspects of their lives as a result to pursuing that purpose. For instance, Dr. Connors has a plan to regenerate his arm that is realized and somewhat successful. However, he slowly succumbs to a rather grisly transformation into the monstrous lizard as a result of that research. It's only moments before the transformation occurs that Connors realizes the consequences of his actions.
I've made a terrible mistake.
Dr. Connors realized that his work consumed him and put his family in danger, which he didn't intend, but came as a result of his obsession. There's an allegory in this episode that comes in the form of Connors' son, Billy.
The book says some lizards lay hundreds of eggs and never see them hatch.
Uh-huh.
Most of the babies get eaten by predators, and the parents don't even care.
This can be considered a metaphor for Connors' obsession with his work on regenerating his arm. The eggs symbolize his relationship with his family. His devotion to regaining his lost appendage. Dr. Connors has unknowingly sacrificed his family in his endeavor. You could say his transformation into the lizard represents the dread that affects our loved ones when they see ourselves spiral into a grisly obsession to achieve a goal that is born purely out of despair. Contrastingly, though, Peter has the means now to achieve status he never even dreamed of. Enough power to easily capitalize in his social settings. So much power that he can really do whatever he wants. Be at the top of his class, dominate the school, get any girl he wants. Anything, really. Peter is even tempted to show off his skills to his peers, and he nearly does, multiple times, but ultimately refrains because he knows his secret identity needs to be a secret in order to remain an anonymous superhero. Peter makes the right decisions, but that doesn't mean he likes it. His decisions are taking a toll on his self-esteem. He feels locked in to being at the bottom of the barrel, because he knows it's how everyone else perceives him. Gwen reassures him, however, trying to remind him that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and how he isn't unappreciated.
I never asked to be broke, or semi-grounded, or smart enough to be Flash's drenching boy.
You stop right there. I'm so not letting you wish away your big...
Peter appreciates his friend's sympathy. However, he can't seem to shake the feeling that the world is out to get him. This theme of sacrifice applies to both Peter and Dr. Connors. When Spider-Man and his friends help revert Connors back to his normal form, he immediately hugs his family, realizing that his family's safety outweighed his lost arm. However, this also meant foregoing all of his efforts on regeneration and the dream of reattaining his lost arm. As for Peter, the lizard problem got him fired from his first job due to money troubles and lies that kept his secret identity safe. But in doing so, he had to tarnish his relationships with his friends and coworkers. Peter never anticipated that protecting the city as Spider-Man would also mean jeopardizing his life as a teenager. Almost as if it hits him all at once, the pressure and stress accumulated by his alter ego explodes into a moral dilemma.
Never asked to be Spider-Man. I never asked for these powers. I never knew it would mean a bashed-up hand, a hard 9 p.m. curfew, no job, and friends who all think I'm scum. It was all just a twist of fate. Bad luck, a random bug bite. Easiest decision I ever made.
Peter's past encounters with Vulture, Electro, high school, Jonah, abandoning his friends, ignoring his aunt's wishes, all compile up and almost make our beloved hero throw in the towel for good.
Except I saved him. Spider-Man's no magic wand, but thanks to the webhead, Kurt's cured, and Billy gets his father back. So what if nobody threw a parade? Spidey stays because Spidey's needed. For now, anyway.
Peter understands now that Spider-Man is not a thrill, nor a magic wand as he describes it, but rather a duty that requires sacrifice to not only protect the innocent and to benefit society, but also to honor his beloved uncle's final piece of fatherly advice. Spider-Man is, and always will be, a timeless character that will continue to embody the principles of maturity. Words cannot describe how much I love this character, because every conflict Spider-Man faces alludes to conflicts people deal with in their own lives. There isn't a single human being on this planet that hasn't been arrogant, impatient, or selfish at one point in their lives. The character of Peter Parker is someone who isn't infallible to those traits, but does have the wisdom and discipline to refute them, which in itself is the essence of maturity.